Thank you very much, sir. Mr. The President of the Court of Cassation, our host, Mr. Mohamed Savash, the Chairman of the Institute of Strategic Thinking in Ankara, Ambassador of Azerbaijan, Mr. Hazar Ibrahim, dear colleagues, ambassadors, good evening. I would like, first of all, to introduce myself. I'm the Ambassador of Djibouti in Turkey and Dean of African Diplomatic Corps. And I would like to just make my contribution about, the topic of today, which is really very important, the post-pandemic international system. I would like to recall, first of all, that just a few days ago, on 26th of June, the world celebrated the 75th anniversary of the United Nations Charter, which has been drafted at the end of the Second World War. On this occasion, Mr. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, spoke about a new world facing a moment of revolt and huge risks. He mentioned issues such as COVID-19, climate change, racial injustice, and growing inequality. The final picture is just we are living in a world in turmoil. So as you know, the brutal outbreak of COVID-19 and the danger it posed to billions of human beings across the world within a short period of time marks definitely the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And we need to think and define collectively what are going to be the new era, and what kind of system we need to propose. Is it going to be a modification or a real transformation of our global governance, the international security system, and its institutions? That's the question. In our interconnected world today, symbol of digitalization and very impressive medical and technological progress, we have been living in the illusion that we are safe in a world of comfort, far from chaos and far away from conflicts, at least for some of us. But however, the pandemic came up, and it will be probably remembered as the greatest disaster of a magnitude that we have never imagined before since the Second World War. It spread around the world in 2 months. The number of cases and fatalities are just heartbreaking. Today, we have more than 10 million cases and 500,000 deaths. Consequences go beyond the health dimension. The effects are financial and economic, political, social, and cultural as well. We are facing the worst economic decline in modern history since the Second World War. All sectors of local and global economy are affected, with a significant drop of the global supply and production. The GDP of countries with advanced economies probably will decrease from 7 to 9%. The GDP of emerging and developing countries will drop from 3 to 2.6%. And that's going probably to plunge millions of people in extreme poverty. That's a fact. For the first time, humanity is confronted by a common, invisible, and unpredictable enemy. The global and brutal nature of this threat requires a global response. Usually, the definition and hierarchy of threats to international security and the legal instrument or military capabilities designed to deter or deal with those threats are unfortunately not relevant anymore. This approach or this methodology don't address the global challenges the international community is facing today. The world we are living in today is completely different. The stakes are different. The nature of those threats to international stability and security is different. Those threats are global. Many of them are non-human actors or forces. They have been in front of us for the last 2 decades, but we decided to ignore them, or we didn't address them very properly. I'm talking about infectious diseases, climate change, growing inequalities with its predictable effects such as uncontrolled migration, abuse and exploitations, poverty, cyber attacks, terrorism, and in Africa, this list of threats to security and stability should include illegal fishing, tax evasion, and other illicit financial outflow. In conclusion, I would like just to say that it's really essential to revise our approach and our assessment of those new entities maneuvering the stability and the security of the world. It's obvious that our system of global governance, the United Nations and its institutions, must analyze, investigate, and define which are those new menaces jeopardizing the global peace. And we need to build, of course, the new strategies, new instruments, and probably a new system, more effective, more fair, and more inclusive, of course. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.